And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Man, time flies when you're having fun, huh? So much stuff has happened. I haven't been this busy in this hobby in a very long time. If number one mod in the game, Drew, if you're out there, let me know how the mic's doing. So shout out to Mr. Rattle Pokemon. Rattle helped me with my mic. I guess it was peaking really bad. So let me know how the sound is. But big shout out to Rattle. Uh, Big shout out to Rattle too, because a little bit of what Rattle's been doing kind of goes to the topic of this video is Pokemon investors overspending and going into debt. Is it a little clickbaity? Yes, of course it is. But is there a little shred of truth to this uh, title? And maybe a little bit too. And what I mean by that is just recently, there's been a ton of great buying opportunities because we're seeing at least one really true reprint in 151. We're seeing poster collections, we're seeing uh, booster bundles. We're going to probably start to see ETBs. We've been even seeing, UPCs. I don't know if the UPCs are part of that 151 reprint. We're definitely seeing them, but and then another thing is the Paldea Evolve reprint. Yes, I'm again. Listen, I'm trying to do the more clickbaity titles, just like today, just like the other one I did. Paldea Evolve, the reprint that killed Scarlet Violet Investor, blah, 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 something dumb like that. But when I put that title though, I did use the word reprint, and after like really seeing the drop of Paldea Evolved, I'm really double questioning like, is it a reprint? And the reason why I say that is one, Danny Phantom earlier today also made a video kind of stating that fact, like, is this actually a reprint or is this just a restock? So reprint and restock, if you're new to Pokemon, that might be, those two words might sound the same to you and you might think they're the same thing, and then if you've been around for a while you know they're not. But reprint means Pokemon's actually reprinting this stuff, and it's a full on reprint. They printed it, they're making packs, booster boxes, whatever products that they're making these packs for. Or a restock is just old product that sat in the warehouse. And for how much I had heard for Paldea Evolved, the thought of restock didn't really personally make sense to me, because I was like, I doubt they're sitting on actual like pallets upon pallets of Paldea Evolve. So I was leaning towards more reprint opposed to restock. But then the two weirdest things happen. So when I thought for Paldea Evolved, I said, what's going to cause prices to go down in the definitely in the short term, and then potentially keep those prices a little stagnant for the long term, isn't about the people picking up one case, two cases. I don't care about those people. The people I care about are the people that actually affect the market. The Hills Wholesale Gamins, your P Football Pete's. Those are the people that really, truly, at the end of the day, those are the people that dictate the prices that stuff sells on. P Football Pete is infamous for creating, bottom prices, and it takes a long time for P Football Pete to be able to eat through his supply of product until eventually everybody else could kind of start making margin. And one of the things that people whisper about, but I don't think there's really any truth to it. Some people say there is, but then are these P Football Pete's and are these Hillsole Gamins, are they actually like sort of distributors in themselves, but maybe they're cutting out the middleman being the person buying from distribution, and are they just selling straight to market? I've always leaned towards no. I think they have, distributors just like everyone else. But, one of the things you got to keep in mind with P Football Pete is a fantastic example of somebody who can sell at lower prices, not, and he's on a different playing field. So, I can't prove this, but I'll go out on a limb and use speculation and say P Football Pete has a, negotiated rate with eBay because he's doing so much volume. Now, I do know this because P Football Pete has said this before publicly. P Football Pete not only has a potential, you know, better rates with eBay, we know he probably gets a lot of his listings sponsored for free, because we've seen a lot of his listings automatically get the sponsored spot. And go on P Football Pete's listings and you can see, you know, speaking of how the evolved, there's 36 packs from 3-pack blisters. That's still P Football Pete's listed, and you'll see it's way cheaper than everything else, and then it's a sponsored listing, so he has that going for him. But then also, when it comes to shipping, P Football Pete has negotiated rates with the United States Postal Service. Just a little food for thought, a little sprinkle, a little food for you. Think about that fact, that he is so big and that he moves so much product that he bypasses eBay's special rates. Because if you're selling on eBay, and if, again, I'm talking to the new people out there, if you are selling on eBay, what you pay for your shipping labels on eBay is drastically cheaper than, say, you were to walk into your local post office. You're going to get way better rates printing labels through eBay. Now, P Football Pete's rates are even better than what our rates are on eBay, because he has negotiated rates with the United States Postal Service. Because one of the things that happened was, for a while, P Football Pete actually got upset with the United States Postal Service, and then he started using FedEx. Well, the town that he was located in literally was getting so much business from this one person, being him, that it actually, like, in a way, kind of crippled that post office from what they were getting from, packages, and almost to the point where, I don't know this, but this is what I've heard from people, that, like, the post office was thinking about laying off people because P Football Pete was one person giving them so much volume in packages, that because he got mad at the UPS, he started going with FedEx, and then UPS came back to him. Do you know how crazy, like, that sentence is? A different playing field than I will ever be on, than any of you will probably ever be on, without maybe there's 0.001% of viewers who watch this channel that will ever get to the point where they are moving so much product that they're going to now start to bypass eBay shipping, and they're going to start to do negotiated rates with the United States Postal Service. Very few. So what I'm trying to get to is, these people are the ones that dictate the, bottom price on the market, because they can be profitable where most others cannot be. And then added on, they're probably, if they are not an actual, distribution themselves, say if they are still getting from a distribution, whatever the lowest possible price to acquire booster boxes at, they're probably paying. Again, I can't prove this, but I'm going to guess that if you out there who are picking up one case from distribution, I could almost guarantee that P Football Pete, for his thousands of cases, or literally unlimited supply, however much he could get his hands on, I'm sure his prices are way better than yours. So there's just so much stacked against most people when competing with them. So that's why they dictate the prices. Now, this is a crazy thing that happened. So with everything I know about how prices get dictated after release, is all based off of those factors, that the biggest people are going to be the ones to control the price, and because they're going to usually get the largest supply. This is what didn't happen, though. If you go on eBay right now and you go the P Football Pete's eBay page, go and see how many boxes of Pal the Evolved he currently has up for listing. And the answer is 0. Go to Hills Wholesale Gaming. See how many booster boxes are available on Hills Wholesale Gaming of Pal the Evolved. The answer is 0. So now you might be thinking, well, maybe they got their supply and they instantly already sold it. No. Go to P Football Pete's, recent or sold items, type in Pal the Evolved booster boxes, and the last Pal the Evolved booster box he sold was months ago. Meaning he dried up on his booster boxes. So it makes me ask this question. Where were these booster boxes coming from? Obviously, they were coming from a distributor, not every distributor. And if these people are, in fact, kind of bypassing the distribution route, which some people have speculated on in the past, if they are, and now I also know this. I also know that P Football Pete has a direct line to Pokemon, meaning he talks to Pokemon and gives Pokemon an understanding on how much he wants to order. That is weird, because that sounds like distribution. You would think that Pokemon is only communicating with distributors, but P Football Pete does have that line, and that is something that P Football Pete said on the very first ever eBay Live P Football Pete was on there, and he gave a lot of like hints. And one of the things he talked about is how he has a direct line to Pokemon. So if you don't have hills with boxes and you don't have P Football Pete, the people that, again, all the things that I'm going to say dictate the prices, they didn't get any. So I'm really starting to lean, because of those factors, that it wasn't a reprint and it was just a restock from a certain distributor. And maybe they were sitting on a bunch of pallets. Why were they sitting on a bunch of pallets when there was clearly a ton of demand for Paldea Evolved? I don't know. Maybe it was just to get a little extra premium per box. Not sure. It's just, after all the things I just said, I'm leaning towards restock opposed to reprint. But you got to keep in mind, when I make my early predictions, it is based off of thinking that this is a true restock, meaning that this is going to be, divvied out across the board. And then once it didn't, it's about changing. This is the thing that I think too many people out there, their worst possible attributes, their worst possible traits is that they cling on to an idea or a thought too hard, and then they somehow want to make that part of them, like that thought. This hobby is all about adapting and changing and dealing and navigating this hobby at the current moment with the information at hand. And again, a lot of what we're gonna do is going to be speculation. But now, going back to what I said earlier in today's video, Pokemon investors overspending, going into debt. Again, big shout out to the Rattle Discord. If you guys are not in the Rattle Discord, look what I can do now, thanks to Rattle's help too. Boom. Look at that. One click, I instantly go a little smaller. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, I'll show you guys something. So this is the Rattle Discord, right? I've talked about it before in the past if you guys haven't watched this video. So like this was just posted in the general chat. So earlier today, the 151 poster collections went up. But if you look down right here, in the Rattle Discord are right here, if you see restock monitors. So this restock monitor is a bunch of bots that ping a bunch of different websites. Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Best Buy, Costco, GameStop, Pokemon Center, Sam's Club, Target, Walmart. And if you click on these, there's bots literally like going constantly and seeing if stuff's available. One of the things that was recently available and is still available is like this: Pokemon Center, Van Gogh, Pikachu. So if you look, I'll move it over. So now I gotta bring this over here. But look, it's currently available. You could add this to your cart right now. This is the problem with so this is where all the viewers drop. Everybody's gonna run the Pokemon Center, potentially pick up this. But anyways, bunch of Van Gogh merch dropped. It's not just this. Literally at the time of recording this video, during the live, you could go on and pick up most of this Van Gogh merch. You can see it all on Rattle's Discord. If you guys are not in, somebody ping me. Tap, I appreciate you pinging me here. That does help me out a lot, especially if I can't see this. But all this stuff is currently available. So it goes to the title of this video now. See, I am good at actually making it about the title of this video, but Pokemon investors overspending and going into debt. A lot of this stuff dropped on Pokemon Center, and I had to just go, whoa, 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 whoa. I had to just step back and say, I can't buy any more of this stuff. Most of this stuff, if not all of it, I already own. I'm already sitting on it. I have piles of this stuff over here. Literally the Van Gogh merch. I'm just like, listen, I gotta just not buy anything right now. So I think this is a problem. And the title of this video is, I just think that so many people are seeing great buying opportunities, because there are. Like I just said, Paldea Evolved reprint just happened. Restock. I'm going to start saying restock for that. The 151 is all over the place. If you want 151, there is literally no better time than the present. You will get, if you go into the Rattle Discord, it's in the description on this video. It's like the second or third link is the Rattle Discord. Can't miss it. Click on it, join it. If you want 151, it's being listed on Walmart, Target, Pokemon Center, Best Buy. It's there. You have no better time than the present, and trust me, you didn't miss out on it. You're gonna have opportunities. There's a restock chat in here. People are talking nonstop about all the good deals people are getting. But that's the problem. It's just there's so many of these deals going on right now today. It's hard. And then plus, if you guys have been following the PSA eBay account, I recommend you guys checking that out. There's a lot of deals going on with the PSA eBay account. So, if you guys, I'm going to talk, I'm going to do my best to talk broadly. Most of you guys already know this information. But now PSA has the option where if you grade cards at PSA, you could either have those cards shipped back to you, you could ship them to the eBay vault, or you now have a new option, which is list directly on eBay. PSA, so literally as soon as you get your grades back, you can do one click and instantly send those to auction. You can do either schedule a day or you can just pick earliest possible like time available, and then it will almost instantly, it's like at 24, less than 24 hours in order for it to be on eBay. It's pretty crazy. But because now people have that super easy liquidity factor using the PSA eBay account, and again, this is consignment service, the easiest thing you can do. It's one click. You don't have to worry about doing any of the photos, any of the listings, any of the shipping. You don't have to deal with returns. All the beautiful things about like a Z&G Emporium consignment or these other consignment services is all the headache is taken away for you. And it's the same thing that's going on right now with PSA. But because there's a flood of cards going on, there's so many good deals. It's wild. And again, it's like, it's so easy to overspend when everything is just available, because we came out of a period of time where it seemed like nothing was really available, and if it was available, you really had to search hard to find this stuff, and you really had to, do your due diligence, and you had to, what like you have right here with Rattle's bot. Before Rattle's bot, you had to follow a bunch of Twitter accounts, you had to constantly be going on your own time, going on Pokemon Center, having a couple saved searches, clicking on them and hoping that, just crossing your fingers that maybe that's the day you get lucky, that you see a restock. But because now there's so many more tools at everybody's fingertips, mine, yours, everybody's, it's just, even if these deals always existed, maybe they weren't so easily accessible. And now they're easily accessible, and it is easy to start overspending in this hobby really, really quick. So my recommendation for a lot of people out there is be very careful. If you are buying this stuff and you are fine and you have no credit card debt and this is all within your means, go for it. But I do caution everybody, if you are buying this stuff with the sole intention of either investing in it or, more importantly, flipping in it, but that's not what you're doing, you're sitting on it and maybe it's starting to add up on your credit card, I recommend for everybody to just pump the brakes. And I get it, it's hard when you go on the Rattle Discord and you see you see multiple pages of restocks on PokemonCenter.com. It is hard, like, to just kind of, in a way, close your eyes, turn it off. Just yesterday, I mean, was it? Yeah. So just yesterday, they had the Pokemon special delivery box dropped on Pokemon Center. Maybe some of you guys know what that is. Maybe some of you don't. But again, it was on the Rattle Discord. It's the so it was a special delivery box, like special delivery Charizard, special delivery Pikachu, special delivery Bidoof. No, you don't get those promos in it, but it is still a special delivery box. It's like a Pokemon mystery box that they're doing. I had to go buy one. Like, I couldn't just not buy it. So even when I say, like, I had to walk away and not buy stuff today, I still spent $50 on Pokemon Center yesterday, picking up the box. I shot it over the Poke Rev. I was like, Rev, I think this box would probably be good for your channel too. Like, this would be good content for you. I think it comes with a couple packs. Like, see, it's like random pins. You don't know which pins you're going to get. It comes with a random statue. You don't know which statue you're going to get. It comes with a random hat. You don't know what hat you're going to get. You know me, not a big hat guy. Never wear hats inside. Or do I? Either way, you get a random hat, random pins, random statue, and then you have random packs. And something very, very strange about that, Pokemon pack selection is it had like very specific sets, and then randomly it just said Sun and Moon. Now, I don't know if Sun and Moon is referring to Sun and Moon base, or maybe Pokemon is randomly going to sprinkle in some like team up packs in there, or just random Sun and Moon era sets. I don't know, it's just weird that it was like all Scarlet and Violet and then randomly a Fusion Strike, and they were actually set names. It wasn't just Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, Sun and Moon. No, it was like Obsidian Flames, Paldea Evolved, Paradox Rift, Fusion Strike, and then just a Sun and Moon. It was very, very weird that it was even included there. So maybe maybe it's just Sun and Moon base. I mean, there are a million Sun and Moon base packs that exist. Maybe that's it. But I don't know. Anyways, so just be careful. I know there's a lot of good deals out there. If you're in the position to buy, keep buying, but just pump the brakes. This is just a little bit of caution, everybody, because I think that the people watching this channel are probably buying the most and are trying to do the most meticulous buys possible. They're shopping around, they're trying to get the best deals, lowest prices. Like, one of the things that I do often on this channel is I quote TCG player prices. A lot of other YouTube channels quote TCG player prices. I think it's easy just because the charts are super easy. You can go on TCG player if you want to pull up a chart. Not really a big chart guy, but it's there. Like, you can see recent, sold data. It's a simple search. You search in the Paldea Evolved booster boxes. You can see what current market price on TCG players. You could go, see recent solds. You could count how many sold that day. It's just very easy. With that said, hopefully most people aren't buying from TCG Player, because TCG Player is usually never the cheapest price. There's always cheaper places to actually pick up products. So I think that the people I speak to on this channel are those type of people that are going and they're finding the cheapest prices. I never buy booster boxes on TCG Player. Probably be a cold day in hell when I do that, because I'm always going to find whatever website has the best deal, whatever is restock. I'm not paying secondary market prices, because at the end of the day, TCG Player is, for most sealed product, secondary market prices. It's, never, I mean, not most of the time, pretty much all the time. So while I'm not buying from TCG Player, I am using it as a research tool, but I'm always finding the cheapest price. I think most of you guys do too. Now, the opposite of that, this is a busy week. And why is that a busy week, and why is it the opposite of finding the best price? Well, if you guys don't know, tomorrow at 9 p.m. now. Originally it was 9:30, and it's moved to 9 p.m. Eastern time. I will be, so less than 24 hours from now, I will be at Dan Ketchmall Collectibles' house. I will be in his collection room. I'll be sitting, he'll either probably be sitting at the computer, or I will be, or he'll be next to me, or I'll be next to him, and we'll be doing our very first ever Fanatics live stream. It is a huge chapter of my life that is going to now officially start tomorrow. I'm very excited for it. So for a little shilling, if you guys join Fanatics through our referral link down in the description below, you're going to get a free $25. If you have a PSA membership, if you have the 150 tier, so there's two different PSA membership. There's a 150 a year and there's a 199 a year. If you have the 150 a year, you get $60 in Fanatics credits automatically. You don't have to do anything. As long as you're a member of PSA, you're automatically given those Fanatic credits. It's very easy to find. You just go on to whatever email you use for your Fanatics. In the search bar, just type in Fanatics credits, and you'll see the email that PSA sent you. If you're on the 199 tier, you get $125 of free Fanatics credits. So when you use our $25 referral link, that's $85 or $150, depending on the tier. Now, something I get to also mention today that I didn't get to mention last time is on your first ever purchase, if you use the promo code Ketchum20, again, it's down in the description below, you get another $20 off. So you get either 60 or 125 free from PSA. You get $25 for using the referral link that we have in the description. Now you get another $20 off if you use the promo code Ketchum20 for your first ever purchase. So even if you don't have a PSA membership, you could still get $45 free worth of stuff. I'm shilling this because I get $25 if you use my referral code, which is awesome. But you get $25 too. I'm very transparent on everything. I don't keep secrets from you guys. But now it's just getting to the point where even if you don't have a PSA membership, if you use the $25 referral and the $20 promo, you get $45. I love free stuff. This is big. This is fun. I think Friday is going to be a cool live. We're going to have a lot of really cool stuff. Uh, it's a cool chapter. I don't think most of you guys watching this channel, most of the people that watch Dan, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think that you guys are like our customer base for this, because I think most of you guys understand, like, if you're gonna be buying stuff on a live, you're more likely than, especially if it comes to just buying packs, if you want to join in on a break and stuff, you're going to be paying either market or slightly over market. Because if you're only paying market, like, Dan just wouldn't sell on lives. Dan would just sell on TCG Player. It makes no sense for him to pay streamers to stream for him if he could just get a higher price on, TCG Player. And then the same thing with singles. Potentially on Friday's live, there'll probably be deals to be had, but I think most people already understand that. But I think for the long term of the live streaming, I think there'll be a very small trickle over from my normal viewer base to that, which is fine. I mean, it's all the things I talk about, but it's just, it's going to become hopefully another revenue stream for us in the future. But I'm just trying to be transparent for you. I don't think you guys are going to be our average watchers, but that's okay. But for the beginning, if you guys want to come in, use your free credits, go for it, man. It'll be fun. I don't know how the first one's gonna go. I think you guys could already kind of understand the tempo of it. We're gonna go live at 9 o'clock. Dan has already guaranteed that we're gonna have a Gengar PSA 10 alt art from Fusion Strike. Guaranteed there's gonna be an Evolving Skies booster box up. Both of those are gonna start at 99 cent auctions. So I don't know how many people are gonna show up for this live. Looking on Fanatics right now, it's a little dark with how many people are watching lives. So we might be throwing up alt art fusion strikes to 20, 30 people. We might be throwing up 99 cent starting bid Evolving Skies booster boxes to 20, 30 people. There's always that possibility. Like, that is a 100% possibility, but Dan has already said he's willing to throw up these items at a 99 cent auction. Again, we're doing something different, which I don't know if this has ever happened, where you have somebody coming onto a streaming platform with 0 followers throwing up all this stuff. So it's going to be fun. We're going to use it as an advertising push no matter what happens. Like, you could even say there's value in that Fusion Strike Gengar not selling for whatever, $500-600 or whatever current market value is. That's a really expensive, call it PR move, but that's just one thing. But anyways, you could already know the tempo. The tempo is going to start at 9 o'clock. We're not throwing the Fusion Strike Gengar and the Evolving Skies booster boxes. Those aren't the first 2 items to go up. It's probably going to start with lower end singles, lower end slabs, and then you're going to see a gradual ramp up till later in the night. Hopefully, we get more viewers start to flood in, and then, once hopefully the viewer base is at the highest a couple hours. See, we don't even really know, but I'm just promising, if you hop in at 9 o'clock, it's going to be lower end slabs and singles, and then it's just going to be a gradual ramp up until the end of the night, middle of the night. And you'll see us definitely like sprinkle in stuff throughout the live, and we're going to try a lot of stuff. We're going to do sudden death. So sudden death is 5-second auctions at 99 cents, higher end stuff. Sudden death auctions 10 seconds if it's much higher end stuff, because the problem with super sudden death is let's just say you throw up that Evolving Skies booster box at a sudden death auction for 5 seconds. Even if people were spamming the $1 bid increment in 5 seconds, they wouldn't even be able to get that box anywhere close to even 50%, so some items will have to just not have sudden death, but then some will definitely. But it's going to be interesting. And then I'm never going to be doing live streaming on Thursday nights. That's always going to be, well, technically I will still be doing live streaming, but it'll always be me here on YouTube just doing my weekly rants. Got to do my weekly rants, because if I don't, I might need to hire like a psychiatrist or something, because you guys are you're my way to vent. These PK rants, this is just me talking into the ether, getting all the thoughts out, put them out there on a nice, I was going to say on a silver platter, but it's definitely not a silver platter. I am putting my thoughts out there on a broken styrofoam plate to most of you guys. Some of you guys are like okay with it, some of you guys could take it or leave it. But no, so Thursdays will always be designated for YouTube Live, and then I'll, will be other nights. But it'll be interesting too because I get to see a lot more like the back end of streaming, starting to understand like, that business side of it. I'm interested. I'm excited about it. I think it's a great chapter. I'm very excited about, working with Dan closely. Me and Dan, I think right now have a great working relationship. Oh, also, if you guys are not subscribed to the Pokey Flips podcast, definitely recommend you wait, is it no, not wait, not Pokey Flips. What are there? What the hell is Dan's? Wait, there's too many podcasts. It's Pokey Flips, right? Oh, I gotta look now. What? Wait, who's Pokey Flips? Well, he's got to be Pokey Flips podcast. Who's in the? Is it? Okay. Okay. Yes. Thank you. It is Pokey Flips podcast. Anyways, Pokey Flips podcast tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll also be hopping in for that too. I don't know if that's like spoiling anything, but it's not. But number one mod in the game, Drew, if you're out there, can you drop a link in the chat for the Pokey Flips podcast? Local Lowe's Collection, appreciate you being a channel member for 7 months. But yeah, so we'll be hopping in there. It'll be interesting too because I think that's actually going to be a fun Pokey Flips because you're going to have me and Dan in the same room together answering questions. But then Nick is also going to now be in Chicago. So if you guys don't know Nick, old school Pokemon, formerly was living in the New England area. He moved across country to be closer to his business partner, Mr. Walrus. So now they're he's more in the Chicago area. They're going to be working closely together. That's a big move. Nick literally moved his entire inventory across country, his entire life across country. I'm sure Nick even loaded up that Pokemon Snap machine. If you guys don't know, Nick does have a Pokemon Snap machine. It was just randomly in the guest bedroom when I went there because I slept in the guest bedroom when I went and visited Nick. And I walked in, I'm like, Nick, you have a Pokemon Snap machine? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I do have one. And I was just like, huh, Nick, I've never one time heard you even mention this Pokemon Snap machine. But even had the key with it too, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm sure the Pokemon Snap machine. Nick had an entire guest bedroom full of just wall-to-wall slabs and stuff. So, and then again, so you're moving your inventory, but then you're moving your life too. Moving away from all your friends, moving away from all your family, and starting something very special. So, this Pokeflips episode tomorrow is going to be very interesting in that me and Dan are starting this new chapter in our lives. Dan working more on the back end of sourcing stuff and doing the live streaming, me actually like streaming. And then you have Nick and starting this new chapter in his life. And then you could even say in a way, Walrus, even though Walrus has been working closely with Nick the last few months, he still is, starting a new chapter in his life too, because their working relationship and that dynamic is going to probably change very, very quickly in the short term. So, yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff going on. So that will be at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So if you guys enjoy content, you guys are going to have a lot of content in the next couple days. At least if you like our content. I was going to say if you like content. I won't be so broadly. But yeah, guys, it's a fun time. I'm looking forward to a lot of exciting things happen in both the short term, the near term, and the long term. And one of the things I'm looking forward to most is, like I told you, I think with the free credits, you guys will be the clients for Friday's Live because a lot of you guys are going to be using free money. But in the future, I am looking forward to just meeting a different, like, section of the hobby too, And I'm probably going to end up I'm not going to do any cross streaming, so I'm not going to ever do any openings on my channel. This channel is not built for that type of stuff. But I will probably end up creating like a new channel, and it will just be like PK live stream. So if you did want to hop on to YouTube or something, and I don't really know, I think it just has to be a separate channel. It just has to be completely different, separated from my normal watchers. Like my normal watchers, you guys are so engaged in this hobby when it comes to, Discords, when it comes to, you know, E4 and your Reddits and your Twitters and your YouTubes, and you guys know all the information. It's very hard, even though sometimes I'll be talking about what I think is new information. I'm always amazed at a lot of the people I'm talking to already know all the information that I literally just found out and they've already known about it. So you guys are super, super deep. You guys are just not the viewers for that type. But no, definitely recommend you guys again joining the Route Discord if you do want to look at the bot channel. It's a lot of fun. uh but yeah, so that's that point of the live. I have now made it 35 minutes to talk kind of about the title of this video, just don't go broke, talking about the Rattle Discord, talking about how there's a lot of options out there right now today buying stuff, and then talking about being excited tomorrow, being on PokeFlips podcast, me and Dan doing our first ever live, kicking off the Fanatics. Hopefully a lot of you guys are able to redeem your free credits. I will tell you this about Fanatics. I don't know if you guys care about this. I think they're spending a lot of money right now to acquire a lot of people. Like they're when Whatnot was just starting off, Whatnot spent a lot of money to acquire a lot of people. Like Whatnot was just dumping money at people, trying to get people to come on, and then it just that money started to dry up. But now I think Fanatics is trying to make a real play, and I think they're handing out a ton of money for that reason. When you think about it, they're handing out $25 for the referral, and then these promo codes, and then the PSA. It's a lot of free money a year. So, anyways, here we go. Let's see. Stream setting. Okay, so scrolling up to the top of chat, Katie Lowen. Good to see you, Katie. She said, I heard we're going deep into the MetaZoo talk tonight. There will be no MetaZoo talk tonight, Katie, but one thing I will talk about, which was pretty interesting, is yesterday. If you guys didn't catch it, Zach, Gem Mint Pokemon, he did Instagram Live. And on the Instagram Live, he talked about, so Zach has an entire set of the alpha, beta cards that were recently released. If you guys don't know what those cards are, they've been talked about on a lot of different channels. They've been showcased on a lot of stuff. They're Akabani's cards, former Nintendo or former Nintendo employee, real early test print type cards. The problem with these cards is I just use the word test print, and that's the way a lot of people are describing these cards, as test print, but they're hidden, CGC 10s. Some of them are hidden CGC pristine 10s, and you don't think okay, if this is a test print card, people should have been testing the playability, and why are they all in such perfect condition? Nobody really knows an answer to them. There's a lot of questions about those cards because of that, but Zach had an entire set. Zach's sending his entire set to auction, which is great, but one of the things Zach did is a lot of people had been talking about those cards, and it seemed like everybody that owned them was all trying to real quickly send them to auction. So when everybody tried to instantly flood all these cards to auction, a lot of people started to ask the question, are people flooding these cards to auction because there's probably a lot more of these that exist? And unfortunately, when CGC put out their press release, they didn't really talk about who those cards came from. And one of the things CGC definitely didn't mention is how many exist. So people started to do their own speculation. Now, Zach went out on his Instagram Live and he said that, and then some people were saying, oh, the people that everyone sourced them from only has one copy left. And I've never in my life been witness to a bigger pie in the face than watching people give Rattle shit in the chat. People were saying to Rattle, there's only one other copy that exists, and the people, Akabani still has that one copy. He doesn't have any more, and to do your research, Rattle. And they were kind of shitting on him, oh, you don't do your research, which is obviously that statement can't be further from the truth because Rattle does an extreme amount of research on almost every single video he does. I know for a fact because I've seen the hours he spends, messaging people, trying to make sure that the information he puts out is as true as possible. Literally, that person was giving him shit, and then Zach, like in the next breath, said, "There's probably 20 copies of this that exist." 20, and saying that the person that was handing out all these is still sitting on multiple sets of these alpha and beta test print cards. It was the most satisfying, like, short amount of time in a live chat because this dude was trying to dunk on Rattle, and then it was as if Shaq came in and just dunked on him, and whoever was writing that in the chat, like, they had balls in their face. There was some, it was real time. I got to watch it. It was like, I actually, when I was listening to Zach while reading the chat, I literally laughed out loud in this person's like face. Luckily, I was, via message, but I was laughing at how dumb they looked going after Rattle. So, but yeah, so Rattle definitely got his moment right there, and like I had a good laugh because people were just looking dumb, like, because what happened was people were trying to shield their positions, make it look like there weren't as many of these cards that exist, or even if they possibly did know, maybe they didn't want people to know. They were just hoping over the next couple of years we'd see a few more of these sets trickle out, blah blah blah, the whole dog and pony show of that type of stuff. But Zach just, in a way, blew up their spot. But I give Zach a lot of credit because, Zach was doing this because I think Zach does want to bring a level of transparency to this hobby, which I think he did in that live. And Zach did that against himself. And why I say he did that against himself is because Zach is literally holding a position of these cards, and he's literally sending these cards to auction. So by Zach releasing that information, he only hurts himself because now people know that there are going to be more copies that hit the market, at least probably in the relatively near term to, the 3 to 5 year timeline. We'll probably see a few more of these sets hit the market. So big shout out to Zach for, ultra transparency. I do hope that Zach is successful with those sales. I'm not the buyer of those per se. I did ask Zach a question in it, and I asked him, how come we never saw any of those pre-release cards like in the Silver Bible? So if you don't know, this is the Silver Bible. So real quick, I will give a shout out. I got my TCA gaming shirt on. Gotta represent the homies. But right there, that is the Silver Bible. So Silver Bible was a magazine that was released by Media Factory. Media Factory like did this big I was gonna say they did the Silver Bible. So they showed a lot of cards. That Silver Bible is where people for the first time ever saw like snap cards. So like the snap Magikarp. That was the first time people ever saw it. It showcased all the different trophies. It showcased all the different trophy cards, showcased like the Tropical Mega Battle cards. But then that magazine also showcased a very small amount of pre-release cards, or cards that didn't really exist. One of the great examples of cards that didn't exist was like the Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres cards. Now we did see those cards in like the phone cards. We saw some of those, but then there was also like mock print ups of those that just went up for sale this year. Cards that people had speculated, like, while we know they kind of exist because they were in the Silver Bible, nobody actually ever saw them in person, but those cards just went up for auction this year. So at least we knew they existed in a way, even though we might not have ever seen them sell for the last 2.5 decades. People, by just looking at the Silver Bible, said, okay, well, this matches up because these cards were showcased in there when Media Factory made it and they showcased everything. The question that I asked is, well, why didn't we see any of these alpha beta cards when we did see those the legendary birds cards? It just didn't make sense, right? And I feel like that would have been something important to add. And the fact that just none of them showed up, and this is the first time we're ever seeing them, and it's so far after the fact, and then there's questions about like, okay, where are the cards coming from? But then it's like, who's the team negotiating with people? And then the question of, well, if these cards are just in the way I understand it, the way Zach explained it, and I'm welcome to be wrong, and somebody can let me know. But Zach, pretty much the way he described it was, it's more or less like a printer paper glued onto like a thicker cardstock. And I think the example Zach used was let's see if I have one. So like in a promo. So like if you think about like Pikachu with the gray felt hat promo was I think the one he used as an example. You have the Pikachu in a gray felt hat promo, but then you also have uh, so you have the Pikachu with the gray felt hat promo, but then so like this is a special delivery Charizard card. So when you opened up your special delivery Charizard promo, this thing was in there. So well, the way Zach explained it was it's kind of like the same card stock as you would see on something like this. So it's just weird that you have this glued on piece of paper on just what appears to be pretty generic card stock. Like there's a little bit of like, I don't know, it's pretty tough, but it was just weird that they're so pristine, right? So it brought up a lot of questions, but no, Zach did a good job. He answered a lot of people's questions. He was pretty transparent about a lot of things. It's just I don't like that we never saw them in all this time and nobody knew they existed until they magically went up for sale. And I do even get a little more nervous because there's so much vested interest in the person now releasing these cards. And if there are 20 copies of these that exist, whoever how do we know that like Akabani's team or even Akabani himself, how do we know that they don't have the ability to create more of these? Because if they are just as simple as printing out a sheet of paper, using some glue and putting on cardstock, it does make me a little nervous. Now, looking at those cards too, it also made me a little nervous too is they did have rounded corners. Why did they have rounded corners? Because Zach said it looked like they were in like a card cutting machine. That doesn't make sense because they're handmade cards. They're cardstock, they're glued on. So then that means that somebody had to take a like a corner punch. So like for Pokemon corners, they're rounded, they're not square. And so a Pokemon corner is a 3 mm. That's the size for this corner. So it's 3 mm. So it did look like the corners were all individually cut. It didn't really, and Zach kind of showed it, but Zach was saying he thinks it was like just where they were positioned on the pile and that, a lot of these cards were cut at the same time. But if these cards weren't cut at the printing factory and these cards were cut like for early test print designs, the story of the corners aren't really adding up for me very well. And then it makes me say, well, what if these were all square cards? Well, if they were all square cards, that makes me nervous because then that means that somebody could potentially, if they're all square cards, they're probably none of them in great condition corner wise. But if you can have a very frayed corner and then take a square cut card, recut the corners, and then make it look like a really clean card. And then you could take a card that potentially is a 7 or 8 with a square corner, recut it with a 3 mm corner cutter, and then turn that card into an easily 10 or, CGC 10 or CGC pristine 10 contender. I just didn't like that. I didn't like the thought of that. So, didn't care for it. I just think it would be too easy for somebody to really do a workaround for it, to really turn a bunch of, square cut cards into a bunch of like clean 10 contenders. Because that's going to be probably one of your biggest detriments. But again, it's just, I don't understand why they would have access to card cutters if these cards were all handmade. Does that make sense? It's not like we're talking about like a Pokemon card. We're talking about a piece of white cardstock with a piece of printer paper like glued onto it. Why do they have rounded corners unless somebody had a 3 mm corner cutter and cut them? Does that make sense? I don't know. I didn't like it. Uh anyways. Uh so yes, people are saying the Catch 'em 20 code. Do appreciate it. So Katie, number one mod in the game, Drew. KY, good to see you, buddy. PokeKid, good to see you. PokeMage87, he said he used a heel lock to buy Paldea Evolved reprint. We're all good boys, yes. Nothing better than taking out a terrible line of credit against your house to buy Pokemon cards. Uh, so Shug Nasty said Pokemon cards too cheap to go into debt. There's no such thing as cheap Pokemon cards. There's some expensive ones too. Basic said reprint everything. Yes, reprint everything. Uh, let's see. So Kevin Clear says, when is the P football Pete interview foreshadowing? So if you guys don't know, like P football Pete is only it's like a 25-minute drive, and it's like when me and Dan were talking about Fanatics, we were talking about shipping. I said, I think I put it in. It was like whatever. It's like less than a 25-mile radius from how far I am to Pete Football Pete's warehouse. So I said, worst case scenario, I just go there and pick up whatever products I gotta instead of Dan having to worry about shipping and stuff. But I met people. The guy's name is Scott. I met him in person before. I tried to have him on the channel multiple times. I will reach out to him again. It's been a little while, but he's somebody that I definitely want to have on the channel, like 100%. And I think he's going to bring a very different perspective to this hobby because he's not a Pokemon person. He's just somebody that sells Pokemon in very, very large volumes. And usually, like in our space, in our YouTube space, we don't ever get to see that ultimate disconnect because people that have, distribution in Pokemon usually have an insane love for Pokemon, whether it's a Danny Phantom or TCG or TCA Gaming or, a Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles or Nick Old School Pokemon. All these guys, well, why they still have distribution? Number one, they're not doing the volume that P Football Pete is doing. But number two, these guys have way more passion, on Pokemon than P Football Pete does. So P Football Pete would just be strictly dollars and cents, when be strictly business mind, and probably has no like attachment to these cards whatsoever. So I would like to get him on just to hear that. After this live is over, I have his email. I'll shoot him another email and just say, hey, if you're still willing, I would love to have you on the channel for an interview. Old Card Shop said, is P Football Pete a hero or a villain in this hobby? What is that saying? So if you live long enough, you'll become what's the Batman quote? If you live long enough, you'll see yourself become the villain or something. I think that's kind of everybody in this hobby. I mentioned live streaming for a certain group of people, whether they're going to be my, buyers or not, I will be villainized just for that too. And don't get me wrong, I was definitely on that end too when Whatnot was in its heyday of just scam fest, central in my opinion. I was definitely hating on a lot of the breakers at that time too. But a lot of this hobby is just moving, adapting, and then you wait around long enough, everybody becomes a villain. Or maybe some people are the heroes of their own stories, but they're the villains of other people's too. It could be that, Josh, as well. Uh, Kevin Clear says, is GameStop broke from buying Pokemon yet? So GameStop's another one. If you go on GameStop and you look at the slabs, there's a couple slabs like I saw for Ultra. I'll give you an example. Ultra Modern PSA 10. It was a reverse hollow, but it was like just something if I want to check off my box and add to my collection for $12.95 from, was it Paldea Evolved? Or Paldean Fates? It's so Paldean Fates has the shiny Mimikyu, but then they also have a reverse hollow, just a regular card of the set, or it's Paldea Evolved. But I want to say it's Paldea Fates. Either way, it's just a random reverse hollow. No chase, not a hollow, not a shiny, just a regular reverse hollow. Somebody had graded it. It hit the PSA 10, and I saw it up for sale on GameStop for $12.95. And at the time, the cheapest grading at PSA was $15. I'm like, this one I don't understand. So somebody spent $15 to grade it, hit the PSA 10, so they got the grade that they were obviously looking for, and then they potentially sold it at bulk to GameStop for like, I think their minimum is like $2-3, and then they were selling that PSA 10 for a little less than 13. It just didn't make sense. So like there are some deals if you just want to say you're a Mimikyu collector and you just need to check that box off your list. Well, you can get a card literally in a 10 for less than the cost of grading. That was a weird one. I've seen a few cards kind of like that. It's hit or miss. I mean, there's some cards that are right around market. There's some that are a little below market, and then there's some cards on GameStop that are like substantially higher than market. And it's like, okay, well, GameStop, unfortunately, I think you will never sell this card for the next 5 years unless you drastically change your price pretty soon. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Oreo Cakester says, I think Pokemon Center has a ton of loose Sun and Moon base packs because when they sent us loose packs, when they accidentally restocked the Sun and Moon base set booster box. That's interesting. So, what Oreo Cakesters is describing, so like there was a restock of Sun and Moon base set booster boxes. A lot of people bought them, and then all those orders got canceled. But as like an apology, for everybody that purchased one of those, even though they were fully refunded, Pokemon Center sent them just one random Sun and Moon base set booster pack. So, I mean, maybe he is on to something. There is a little like, yeah, sure, I could see that. Son of a Mewtwo, buddy, good to see ya. He said, Drew, number one mod in the game. Yes, Drew, number one mod. Mason Berry said, sudden death sucks so bad for sellers. Mason, don't ruin this for me. Go back to your card shop. Not your real card shop, Mason. Go back to your fake card shop. I know Mason's out there. He's, so Liquid said, what's good, PK? Not much. Stoked for tomorrow. Finger crossed we'll see some Crystal Guardian. Oh, yeah. We could definitely do some Crystal Guardians. Even if Dan doesn't have any, I got a bunch of Crystal Guardian singles. If you remind, or I shouldn't say that. Now I have to remember to do this. Hopefully I remember I got a bunch of Crystal Guardians reverses I could bring. Uh, so yeah. Darksimus Prime says, ever get the $25 referral that wasn't working last weekend for some. I think Dan said he figured it out and it's like as soon as you make a purchase, it's automatically credit, I believe. Um, let's see. So Liquid said, "Yo, PK, I asked last live and got skipped. Thought I'd ask again. Do you think we can see Reggie? So I did answer this. The Reggie regional variants in Gen Mint 10 given Gen 8 had birth. Yeah, see, I don't know the answer to that question, so I can't answer it. But I do remember it from last live. Um, so Lurkin said, so if I already have a Fanatics account, I can't get the $25. I started, no, unfortunately, you can't get the $25, but you can get, I think, the Ketchum $20 promo off your first purchase, I believe, still. Um, Grimer Collect says, good, Grimer, good to see you. If you guys didn't get a chance, Grimer was my most recent guest on Monday. If you hadn't had a chance to watch that live, I recommend you going. It's literally the live right before this one. So it was Monday of this week. Grimer was on. Grimer was a great guest. My internet shit out for a little bit of it, and Grimer was awesome enough to be an all-star and be able to man chat and keep it from a total crash and burn. So Grimer, appreciate you, buddy. Uh, that's uh, let's see. So Pokey Steve said, just tuning in now. It's my birthday, PK. Hope you guys have a great night. Can't wait to tune in. Pokey Steve, happy birthday, buddy. Welcome to being the old man club. That's the crazy thing about this hobby. We just keep getting older. One of the things I talk about all the time, and one of the things I'll keep mentioning from now until the end of days. There's only one person in the history of this hobby that is undefeated. That is Father Time. You know, just me. I've been making videos now for we're gonna be coming. Is a half decade? Is it that far yet, or is it not? I don't know. Long time. You're gonna see me age And who knows how long I make videos for. I have no plans to stop anytime soon. So if I make videos coming up on a half decade, maybe I make them for a decade, 2 decades. Maybe I become Gary King Pokemon. Maybe not Gary's like collection or Gary the person, but maybe I become Gary's age. And I'm still in this hobby, and I there's a lot of people out there that I know really, really well in this hobby, and I would be shocked and amazed if some of the people that I know very well in this hobby were out of the hobby when they were Gary's age. I think you just get to a certain point in this hobby that you might slow down, you might take your foot off the gas a little bit, and you might be more of a watcher than just super actively engaged. But I think that for some people, it just almost rewrites your DNA in a sense, where it now becomes a part of you. And no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you just can't shake this hobby. Now, you might not be as actively engaged, but I think you'll always be part of this hobby, always be part of this community. And I wonder if in 30 years from now, the young blood that comes into this hobby, the new people just look at us old timers and maybe they laugh. Just can't wait. I'm not looking forward to getting old. Obviously, I don't. Nobody wants to get old. Usually as you get older with age, like there's usually loss that goes along the way, and you're gonna have to watch your kids get older and then move out, and there's gonna be your highs and lows, and there's gonna be your ups and your downs. But I am looking forward to being old, with the exception of all the negativeness that comes with it, and just to be able to like look at this hobby. And I wonder, because I think this is still a new hobby, and some people, way more than me, obviously, some people really, really help to shape this hobby and really, really help to build this hobby and bring this hobby into a very special spot where I think we are right now today. There's a lot of people, and there was a lot of little pieces that a lot of things had to happen in order to get this hobby where we're at. I talked about Gem Mint Pokemon, what Gem Mint Pokemon did. I talked about Gary King Pokemon, what Gary had to do to help build this hobby, to put us where we are today. And I just wonder if in 30 years from now I get to look back on this hobby, and maybe if I'm lucky, I get to have like one of the stories Gary did, where I could say, that, I remember that. That was me. Or that I was a part of that, or I helped influence that, or I helped guide that into this. And I guess that's my one wish. Maybe just my one wish in this hobby, my one goal in life is just to be able to have like one of those stories. I mean, shout out to Professor Oak if Professor Oak's in the chat. We'll always have the old maid play. While that is technically Professor Oak's, that's part of that play is mine too. He graded the first, I graded all the rest. So we'll always have that one. And every time I walk through a Collecticon, I look and I smile every time I see one. Recently, I've been doing a lot of research and on live stream, and every time I see one on live stream in a graded slab, I smile. I smile because I know the very early days of that. Shout out to Professor Oak for that. But I was part of it. Uh, let's see. Chuck says, I miss Mason's last store. Yeah, so Mason's been live streaming. So keep in mind, Mason runs a game store, and then when he comes home, he plays a game store emulator on his computer, where he is also running a virtual game store. So imagine like Second Life, but instead of Second Life, Mason's life is just the same as his first life. And it's great because sometimes you get real stinky people walk through the door, and you got to like spray them down so they don't stink. I watched a little bit of it. It's fun. I think Moist Critical actually just recently did a live stream playing the same game, so it's pretty cool. All right, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., come join me and Dan on Fanatics Live, doing our first ever live. There'll be a lot of cool stuff. There'll be a lot of interesting stuff. If there's a lot of people there and Dan's not losing his ass, and we're able to actually maybe make a little money or even break even, or just the grow for the first stream, if there are buyers there, the sky's the limit. I've already made this joke. I know it's a broad statement. It's impossible. There has the potential tomorrow night. I mean this is not a lie. A $500,000 worth of product could, in theory, be sold tomorrow night if the buyers allow that to happen. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I do not think that will happen. But just because I don't personally think it's going to happen doesn't mean that it's not possible. There's always a possibility. Listen, guys, as always, thank you. Thank you for being part of this journey. Thanks for making Thursday night special. And for those of you that have allowed me to be a part of your week, every single week of 2024, I have gone live at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single week this year. And we are already into October. I just got to go October, November, December. And you know what happens? It means I go in a full year. If I can make it 3 more months, I made it 9 months so far. If I can make it 3 more months, that means I will go on 52 out of 52 weeks going live, not missing one. Thank you, guys. Thank you for making that possible. Thank you for allowing me to come along on your collecting journey. Thank you for coming along with me on my collecting journey. And as always, I'll catch you on the next video.